Hello and welcome to Only Stupid Answers. My name is Sam Basher.
I'm DJ Woldridge.
And today we're talking about Doom Patrol Season 2, Episode 5, Finger Patrol. Dorothy finally finds a friend and baby doll until playtime goes awry. Cliff discovers that Niles plans to give him human-like upgrades. Vic devises a plan to win Roni back. And after Rita has a lousy audition, Larry brings her along to meet his family and learn more about the life he left behind. Great episode.
Yes.
Just get that right. Also, I was not here last week to talk about the previous episode, but also very good.
Yes.
Dorothy Scary, and this episode was a cool way of comparing two people with similar abilities. The way like that when Cyborg was announced for season 1, you're like, Cyborg, like for real, like he's going to be the A-list superhero you're going to throw on this team. And then when you saw the juxtaposition between him and Robotman, you're like, oh, there's like actually a lot here that you can kind of explore. And so when you have Jane and Dorothy next to each other, there's a lot to play around with there, where they have voices in their head they're able to talk to, and they're very different.
Yeah,
they're very different in terms of their powers and what ails them.
Yeah, something that interests me, because I don't, has the show really dived into the difference between Dorothy and Jane?
Not really. All we know specifically with Jane is that she has an underground, and those are distinct personalities.
Yeah.
And Dorothy's imaginary friends only exist in her head.
Yeah.
Or sorry, they don't know. Sorry, they can communicate in her head without manifesting, but they can manifest outside of her body. And Dorothy and Jane's do not.
Yeah.
That's all her.
That's all her. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting that we're 5 episodes in, that we haven't really like spelled out Dorothy's ability. And it'll be interesting to see with. I feel like the next episode is probably going to be everybody on the team is like, oh, we need to deal with Dorothy. Like we need to like figure this out, because things have escalated with her.
Oh yeah, this is we'll get to the end of the episode in a second, but like that was genuinely shocking. I was like, okay, so we are seeing the evolution of Candlemaker, which I really like.
Yeah.
You're seeing like he's becoming more coherent and more. He's got more vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to voice higher thoughts, and it's also kind of like, since Dorothy her growth was stunted as a human being, or as whatever she is, because she was locked away. It kind of makes sense why, like, now that she's meeting new people and talking with them, even with Danny, she didn't get to go outside and experience everything that Danny offered for the other denizens.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they call them.
Yep.
And it's a great name. By the way, last episode, I just remember what happened last episode more, and I was like, that was bananas.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good stuff that we missed from season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So now seeing that kind of evolution with Candlemaker is interesting. I kind of want to learn more about the other imaginary friend she has, because Herschel, the spider, we see more often, and he's just kind of like a friend.
Yeah.
And as far as I know now, one of them's dead, right? The giant woolly wolf antler one. It made it seem like he died, which maybe he can't, but maybe he did.
Exactly. It is ambiguous. Dorothy definitely thinks that creature is dead. That's the impression we get. I don't know, based on their nature, that they can die.
In the first episode of season 1, when they do the flashback with Dorothy, she's forced to summon that one, and it does get hurt, and it does not want to come out because it can get hurt.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if that means it can die, but it can feel pain, which is another level that is messed up about these abilities and these people and these creatures, whatever they are.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, like, it's interesting that in the underground, everybody seems to be aware of, like, Baby Doll's great. We all love Baby Doll, but she's not exactly equipped for day-to-day living, and the complications of all of that. Props to Diane Guerrero. Every time she does Baby Doll, I'm so impressed, because she does such a good job capturing that kid energy. And I don't know if it's just her voice or if they like pitch it up a little bit in post, but it's always I always find her performance as Baby Doll really impressive.
Also, I think it's like super clear now that Niles is more of a staple in this show.
Yes,
like he
even gets involved in the bit, in the little like the Steel and Stone fantasy. He's got a little like cameo in that.
Yeah, he's the chief.
Yeah, he's the chief.
He's the chief. He's the chief, which is the easy thinking. But now saying it out loud, I was like, oh yeah, of course he is. He's always yelling at him for breaking the rules. But yeah, so that at least the Diane Guerrero or the Jane and Dorothy storyline ends with possibly the death of one of the imaginary friends.
Yes.
And then one of the cool one, like a really visually cool looking one, and the death of a couple personalities, at least three. With Baby Doll, you had the name of the other pyrokinetic personality.
Yeah, so I looked it up, and obviously I've been rewatching season 1, and Sun Daddy, which is the giant version of Jane that has the sun for a head, is the one we've seen most. But this one's been flying around on fire, and I know in the comics she has another personality called Flaming Katie, who is a pyrokinetic, and I think that's the one that Candlemaker kills.
Extinguishes.
Yes.
Yeah, and it bad. She got burnt bad. And man, Candlemaker looks so cool. It's like there's a jerkiness to the like jackalope giant wolf creature thing, but with Candlemaker, it's not there. It's just like this, like it's like a doll that came to life. Something about it. It feels uncomfortably real in the animation of the movements. Yeah. And it's one of the scarier elements when it does appear that I'm like, I am uncomfortable by this entire idea as a character. Yeah. But anyways, that's that story. We also get Cliff realizing that Niles was kind of doodling and trying to come up with a way for him to feel, trying to actually do something nice for Cliff. Yeah. Even though it could take decades for him to figure out how to make this happen. And it's like, God, that sucks. And like we realize that Cyborg can feel, which is cool. Like I didn't even realize, like, yeah, good for him. Like he's been with Roni, but I never like realized that like, oh, he can like, if he touches something, he can feel that. And I think there's other interpretations of the character where he does not feel, which is sad, but that's good that this version at least gets to touch and feel things like that.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about like, so Cliff has Cyborg take him to Silas, because clearly Cyborg is way more advanced. And even though I like Silas's perspective on Niles' work on Robotman, I think how does he phrase it? He says, what I did with Cyborg is surgery. What he did with you is essentially manslaughter, like, or something along those lines. And it's rough. And it's rough.
He's not wrong.
And it's interesting too, now that we're getting to spend more time with the chief the chief is not malicious. But he's a weird dude. He's a weird dude, and his best intentions are skewed. Because theoretically, he should be going to Silas with this stuff.
Yeah, and when we kind of heard in the first season, and you're rewatching it, which is kind of cool because we can kind of like compare notes. Because I know when Silas did talk to Robotman when he helped him with his arm, he helped him with something. He had hurt something, or his finger came off. That's what it was. They talked about that Silas had offered to help rebuild Cliff initially, and Silas rejected him, and he's like, I could have made you amazing. I could have made you incredible. And that's one of the things that Cliff has like a hang up about in the first season.
Yeah. Understandably.
Which makes sense. And like now I get the worry because it's like he's just a brain with like food tubes going into it. Yeah. Like he's able to move around and connect that, but like it would be cool to see him evolve because I know like in the current Doom Patrol run, what's it called? It's Doom Patrol : something.
Yeah,
something world. I'm blanking on what that's called right now, but I know that they reintroduced Cliff being upgradable in certain ways, and I think probably in older comics there were versions of that, but I like the idea of that so he can actually get new things and do new things and maybe feel new things because I think he deserves that. He is, as we learned, we learned this in the first season, he is a violent guy and definitely does not know his own strength, as we see in this episode with the severing of the finger by accident. But by the way, we didn't even mention it yet, Steel and Stone.
Yes.
Cool idea.
Love
Great. Great montage, really well executed. Riley Shanahan, just a shout out because his movements in that suit cannot be easy. It is a very heavy suit, and he does such a good job being able to perform through it.
Yes.
And Brendan Fraser, of course, does the voice. By the way, on the Scrubs podcast, he went on to talk about his couple episodes, and he talked a lot about Doom Patrol, which was really cool for me. And he talked about like he gave a lot of credit to Riley, and he said it's basically a dream job because he gets to do like fun voice work from his house right now in the middle of quarantine. So good for him. Good for Riley because he did a great job.
And I think it's so impressive how seamlessly they integrate that performance, because on paper I feel like that and Negative Man should just not work.
Mm-hmm.
And so the seamless integration of the physical performance, and I think it was really on display last episode too, with Robotman being high, and just kind of the joy Brendan Fraser brought to the voice role and the energy that Riley Shanahan brought to the performance. It's really great. And I think going back to Steel and Stone for a minute, one, on board immediately with the name, and then when they did the bit, I'm like, this is great. One of my favorite jokes in that bit, because I watched it again, we talked a little bit about the Cyborg's afro only coming out of the human side of his head, stuff like that. But one of my favorite bits is it opens with what is clearly a human woman as a prostitute walks up to a car, and then the guy tries to stab her, and suddenly it's Robotman in disguise. Like, he was supposed to have been in disguise as this person, and the body shape is completely different. It's such a good visual joke, and I like that. It's interesting that I think all the characters in some aspect are grappling with the idea of possibly being heroes. Obviously, that's been very evident with Rita in particular, but I would imagine with this, it's also implying that Robotman's considering that too. Like, maybe they could be better. And I kind of wish, I mean, we're just talking, this is the 5th of 9 episodes. We're over halfway done with the season. So I don't know. It's a little late in the game, but I think that would have been a really good through line for this season. Having rewatched season 1, it's a reminder of how much that season benefited from Mr. Nobody took the chief. Who is Mr. Nobody? Where is the chief? And even if the episodes didn't deal with that, it gave everything a momentum that this season doesn't quite have. And we talked a little bit when Clark guested last week, and we talked a little bit about how something this season kind of circles back to is these people being better. And I feel like if they, and maybe we'll get it with if dealing with Candlemaker or whatever, I think that might be a really interesting through line with these characters of how do we get make ourselves better.
Mm-hmm. And Rita is trying to get back to some semblance of like a normal life for her, because I know she and Larry had moved out to their own place in the finale of last season, and now we kind of like ignored that. And now they're back all living in the manor, and she cares for Niles even though she's mad at him. But I liked her audition, and basically it's a Home Depot where it's in the department store or the home goods store, and she's trying to grapple with the relationship she had with her mother, which is interesting with the deal, like something that she's never thought about, or like whatever effect that had on her as a person. And and also the way she's able to help Larry. Larry goes and visits finally gets to we get like a scene where he's spending time with his son, and his son, rightfully after like 80 years, is like, man, I don't think your effect on people, from what I've seen, is positive. I think you've only hurt people. You drove my brother crazy, even though he didn't intentionally do that, but in a way, tangentially, he is not responsible, but he had an effect on that family, and also his wife and his son's mom, and basically her whole life they were obsessed with getting Larry back or finding this cover up or whatever, and they're not wrong, but it did ruin their life because they were obsessed with it. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, and that's his son is Paul Trainor, played by John Getz.
Yeah, and he does a great job, and I liked having the son, what would be Larry's grandson and Larry's great grandson. And I like to give a moment for Rita to be a hero, but it's unfortunate the grandson got shot. Hopefully he makes it, but it's Doom Patrol. That's not doesn't mean it's always going to be happy. Yeah. But I did like that we got a little action with Negative Man, or the Negative Spirit coming out and taking out all the FBI agents. That was pretty cool. Yes. And flying away with Rita and Larry. I like that I know the Negative Spirit has made Larry move around before without him knowing, but I like the idea that it flew away with him.
Yeah, agreed.
I like that he's able to stay awake now.
Yeah, agreed. And again, it's just a good reminder that the Negative Spirit is a champ. Negative Spirit is a good boy or girl.
It's able to do a lot of stuff.
So it's that was cool, and it is a bummer. It was kind of refreshing to see after Robotman was kind of rejected by his daughter, kind of the reverse of that with Larry's son. But it does make sense. And now I've liked these past episodes that I think it's kind of brought these characters together or done a good job of pairing them off with some of their like Robotman and Cyborg and their dynamic, and I think anytime you pair Larry and Rita together, it's really solid. But I'm be interested to see. It seems like this is a good opportunity for everybody to kind of like reconvene and confront what's going on with Dorothy and confront what's going on with the Candlemaker and possibly set up kind of our end game.
And also, it's kind of weird that like we do get scenes with Larry and Cliff together, but in my head, those are the two characters that are the Doom Patrol. Like Rita, of course, as well, and like Jane and Niles and everything. Like they're there, but like whenever I thought Doom Patrol, like those are the two like that like are striking when you see them.
They're the most iconic look. Yeah.
And I can't really like point to a scene where they're together and they're talking and confronting one another about like what their life is. That's not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I just realized while watching this episode, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really see them pairing up. I don't think it's a knock to the writing at all, but I would like to see more of that.
I agree with you. I do wonder if maybe that's intentional, that they don't want to have the two characters whose face you can't see carry a subplot. So I wonder if maybe that's an intentional thing in the writer's room of that, like we've always got to pair one of them with somebody that can emote.
And I totally get it. Like I totally understand. But like,
but at this point, you might have earned
more of that.
Yeah, you might have earned the ability to see them interact.
And I don't know what the next episode's going to be like with the revelation that Dorothy killed some of Jane's personalities. Because those are people. Those are individuals inside of Jane. They have lives. They have memories. And that's scary. So there's got to be repercussions. And I don't see Niles handling this well for Dorothy or the sake of everybody else in the house. And what would be cool is if you use the negative spirit to like go into Dorothy's mind like they did for Jane previously, or going into the underground to kind of like fix things. Because like the train that took people from the underground into to run the body of Kay, like that was broken. I don't know what that means exactly. She could be catatonic, but I don't know. I think that Niles is not going to handle it well, and I don't know what it's going to be like, because we've seen Cliff be like a father figure, but he doesn't really want anything to do with Dorothy, and because in a way what Niles did to help her and stay alive for her led to what happened to him. So like I get why he is not into helping her at all. So I don't know, but what about you?
I'll be interested. I think we need to in the next episode. I think it's finally time to like really like unpack who Candlemaker is, and hopefully set up a directive for the last few episodes to just snap things into focus a little bit. But when we talked about the first 3 episodes, it wasn't quite clicking for me. These past 2 episodes of like, this is Doom Patrol. Like this is the stuff that I'm into, and I like these characters' interaction. It was cool seeing Cliff and Vic working together. Always great to see Baby Doll. Smart decision having Baby Doll not played by a child in the underground. Because that would be a little bit challenging for this situation. But a little bit. But I'll be interested to see how this, and also the other alters can't be happy with Jane. Although I've got to be honest, I kind of don't know what they want from Jane, because sometimes it seems like, you suck as the lead. You need to lead. Like, wait, what? What do you want her to not be the one or to be the one? You're angry with her when she's up top. You're angry with her when she says Baby Doll. Like, what do you want from Jane right now?
I kind of get it, because it's like like for a leader, because that's kind of what she is. Like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. Where it's like you're gonna be. Also, they're all stuck in a nowhere nether space, so it's like any decision she makes is gonna be heavily scrutinized. And I get the whole them being like, stop drugging us because that makes us not be able to do anything. I understand that anger, but Jane's gonna have to do something. I don't know what that means.
We don't know. What would you rate this episode?
Honestly, like I was like really on board with it, but that finale with Candlemaker, I think it pushed it up to like a 9 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed this episode.
I think I would give it a 9 as well.
Yeah, but please let us know what you thought in the comments down below, and make sure you tune back in for more reviews on this channel. Check out our podcast on Mondays, anywhere you get your podcasts, and you can follow us on Twitter at Only Stupid Answers.
You ain't got the vowels from stupid.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.